Happy Saturday, or greetings whenever you're joining us. My name is Caitlin, and this is our Saturday morning Level 2 Comeback Yoga class. This morning, our class will be about 45 minutes long, and all of those minutes are yours. So if ever I'm sharing a pose that doesn't feel good for you, or you know it's somewhere you don't want to go, that's really fine. Find a pose that feels good for you, and know that I'll move on, and we can meet back up later. Remember that this is your yoga, and everything that I offer here is just a suggestion. We will be on our mats doing some lower yoga poses today, so I like to have blocks handy to help bring the mat to me, create a little space in those lower poses. If you don't have blocks, a stack of books or a tall water bottle will do just fine, or don't worry about it, and we'll just practice anyway. And I have my water here. Just remember to take breaks as feels good for you. And we will start in a reclined position. So you might extend your legs long. You might just rest your body here for a few moments. Don't worry, you're not going back to sleep. We'll be moving around. Just want to arrive on the mat and dedicate this time for our practice. And we'll bring our attention to the spaces of our body, as many spaces as you can find, starting from your feet all the way up to your face. Just check in with your body. Notice how your muscles, your joints, your whole self is feeling as you arrive on this mat. And while you're checking in with your body from your feet to your face, maybe other thoughts will come, and that's okay. Let them come, notice those thoughts, and then bring your awareness back to your body, yourself on the mat, and just preparing for this practice, this time that you set out for yourself. Once you've checked in, allow your full body now to relax, to feel grounded to the mat. For a few moments to be supported where you rest, and for 3 breaths, bring your awareness to your breath, where your breath is moving, how it feels in your body, the temperature, the act of breathing. Maybe notice that you're breathing. And for the next 3 breaths, you might set an intention for your practice. Just something that you want for this time that you set aside for yourself. An older yoga teacher of mine used to say that love is the default intention. Maybe yours is something else. You can always come back to this thought, to this intention for your practice as we move. And when you're ready to move on, we'll bring both of our knees in towards our chest. And maybe you wrap your hands together around your shins or your thighs and just rock from side to side, massaging the fascia and the muscles of the back body, the shoulders. Maybe you rock forward and back along the spine. And we'll meet up in a seat. So if you don't want to rock back and forth, that's okay. Just come up to a comfortable seat. If you want to rock back and forth and that feels good, just travel along the spine, yeah? Moving back and forth, checking in with the spine, how you feel today. And then we'll land in a comfortable seat and take a few moments in easy pose. That's what we call this pose. With our legs crossed, knees wide. Maybe you bring your hands to heart center in front of you. Maybe you tuck your chin to your chest, feeling a little opening stretch in the upper spine. You might close your eyes or soften your gaze. Think about relaxing the muscles that are supporting you now in this shape. So now that you've arrived, are your legs engaged? Other muscles, are they tense? And for a few moments, can you let them go? And notice what thoughts comes up. Any thoughts that come up for you here, and then we'll let that go. And we'll take some circles with our torso. So I'm going to bring my hands to my knees, not pressing on my knees so much, just moving with my torso here. I'm going to bring my chest forward and then over to the side. I'm going to round it behind and then come through to the other side and then forward again. So it's okay if your hip points lift here. Just want to find some gentle circles on one side, one direction. Maybe your breath comes with a circle. So maybe you inhale as you come forward, exhale as you round behind. Maybe you bring some cat-cows into this movement or some shoulder and spine flexion. So as we round forward, we might tuck our shoulders and our chin around our spine. As we come forward, we might roll the shoulders back and arch the back. And if not, that's okay. Just bringing some gentle movement into the spine here, and then when you're ready, we will switch directions, moving in the opposite circle. Breathing here as we move. Really nice. Thinking about maybe creating some movement in the spine or checking in with the body. Once you feel even in this direction, we'll come to stillness and find some gentle side bends. So I'm just going to plant my right palm down. I'm going to reach my left palm as high as it will go, and then bend over to the side. So draw my left palm over to the right side, or if my hand's not going to move over that way, that's fine. I can bring my hand to my shoulder or my chest. Just what I want to think about. Breathing into the left side here, finding a gentle stretch. Fantastic. We'll come back to neutral. Inhale, and then switch sides. So thinking about rooting down through the left hand now, finding a side bend over to the right. Maybe your right hand assists, a little bit of extra weight to open to the side, or maybe your right hand is at your side or your chest. Breathing now through the right side body. Thinking about filling that lung, the right side. Making the right side really deep, allowing the ribs to expand. Nice. Fantastic. From here, we'll come back up to neutral. We'll just find some wrist circles. So whatever that means for you, you might bring your fists together and circle this way. You might circle your hands individually. Yoga asks a lot of our hands and wrists, and as we practice, they will get stronger. We will feel more comfortable in these poses, but it's always great to take a break and just know this is available to you. You might find some flexing of the wrists, pointing the fingers for the sky and then down for the ground. Anything you like. Cool. From here, we're going to come to our tabletop position with our hands underneath our shoulders and our knees underneath our hips. We're going to find a flat tabletop here. So reaching through the crown of the head and reaching through the tailbone. I always have to press my mid-ribs up so find a really flat back. Maybe you're drawing your navel into spine. From here, I'm going to root down through the shoelaces of my left foot, and my left knee is really heavy. I'm going to extend my right leg long. Maybe it reaches over to the left side of the mat. Maybe I look over my left shoulder for my foot. Just finding a gentle side bend. It's okay if you didn't cross over, you can still look over your shoulder here. Thinking about breathing through the right side body. Thinking about pressing the mat away with both palms. drawing the navel up to the center line. Really nice. And then we'll ground the right leg down. Find your weight in your right leg and then extend your left leg long. Maybe it crosses over, and maybe look over to the right side of the mat. Just thinking about breathing into the left side body here. Noticing your body in this gentle side bend. Really great. From here, we're going to come back to tabletop and slowly build our downward facing dog. So thinking really intentionally about our fingers being wide, about pressing into all of our finger pads. Our thumbs are going to be 2/3 of the way, not hyperextended too far out from our ring fingers, but we have wide palms to really support our upper body. We're going to tuck the toes and gently lift the hips. Take as long as you need here. You might take a stopping point with your knees bent. Just notice how that feels. And then start to straighten your legs, pointing the tailbone for the sky. And taking any organic movements that feel good here. So you might bend one knee and then the other. You might shimmy your hips back and forth. You might slide forward and back, whatever feels good. When you're ready, we'll come to downward facing dog. Maybe find some stillness here for 2 breaths. We're going to bring the weight into our right foot and lift our left leg for 3-legged dog. So now we have a long line of energy from our fingertips to our left heel. Maybe you open the left hip, point the knee for the sky. You don't have to. It's just an extra hip opener. You might circle your ankle, your toes from one side to the other. And then we're going to find that 3-legged dog again. So our hips are now square with the mat. And then we're going to step our left leg in between both hands. Take as many steps as feels good. So, or just bring it up, or you can come through standing and then bend over your left foot. We're going to be in low lunge here. So you can always drop your right knee down. You can find your blocks underneath your palms here to lift the upper body. We want to energetically draw our thighs towards one another to square the hips for now the front of the mat. And think about creating space between the chest, the abdomen, and the left thigh. So we're not dumping into the left thigh and just hanging out here. It's okay if your abdomen is fully touching your left thigh. We want to keep that intention in the center line so that we're lifting up. We're thinking about sending the clavicles forward and opening them wide, really strong. Now you can press into your right palm and open your left hands up at the sky. You don't have to. Just a gentle low lunge twist here. Or you can stay in your low lunge, feeling really strong. From here, we're going to frame the front foot if it's not already, and then we're going to send the front foot back for plank pose. Breathing here through the center line. You can always bring your knees down. We're going to reach to the crown of the head, draw the navel into spine. And then slowly and with control, you can bring your knees down first if you like. We're going to find ourselves resting on our belly. So our forehead can touch the mat. And we're going to flip the toes. So the fronts of the tops of the toes, fronts of the toes are pressing into the mat. So much so that maybe the kneecaps lift. Our palms are underneath our shoulders. And now on an inhale, we're going to press into the hip points and lift the head, neck, and chest. Little to no weight in the palms. We're using the muscles of our back here to lift us up. Breathing here. Gaze is at the top of the mat or a few inches in front of the mat, not too high. A few creases in the back of our neck as possible. And on an exhale, let everything fall down. Let the kneecaps relax. And we'll bend the knees. So the soles of the feet are going to point towards the sky, and then we'll windshield wiper the heels here, dropping the legs from one side to the other. And then when you're ready, we will plant the feet. So the 10 toes are pointing towards the back of the mat. And then we're going to tuck those toes and slowly build our downward facing dog again. So we're pressing into the palms. You can come through tabletop if that feels good. Press up with your hips, lifting them high. Breathing here for 3 breaths. Your down dog. Noticing your body in the shape. And then we will lift the right leg now. Smallest right toe is still pointing towards the mat to square the hips. You might open the hips by pointing the knee for the ceiling. You might not. You might find some ankle circles here. Totally up to you. If you open the hips, you want to bring them back down through our 3-legged dog. Toes are pointing towards the bottom, towards the mat. And then we're going to look forward in between our hands and bring our right foot there. So as many steps as it takes. You can always come through standing. And I'm going to frame the right foot here with both hands for lower lunge. You can always drop your left knee down. You might find blocks here. You might tent your fingers, thinking about really lifting the upper body tall and long. See this long line of energy from the crown of the head to the left heel. You might press into the left hand now and open the right palm up for the ceiling. Or you might stay in your low lunge. Whatever feels good for you. Really nice. From here, we're going to frame the front foot and really press into our palms, and then we're going to step back into plank. So, as many steps as it takes. You can always bring your knees down here. Thinking about drawing the navel into center, pressing the mat away with our palms. And slowly and with control, we will come down to the belly for cobra. So the forehead rests on the mat. We're going to flip the toes. The tops of the feet are pressing into the mat. Maybe your kneecaps lift. And head, neck, and chest will lift on an inhale. Little to no weight in the palms. You might even lift your palms to just check that you're pressing or jerking your chest up. But you're really using the muscles of your back and your core to lift you. You're keeping a soft gaze towards the mat, really protecting your neck. And on your next exhale, we'll bring the forehead down, allow the knees to rest, bend the knees, and drop the feet from one side to the other, windshield wipers. Maybe coming back to your intention for this practice. And from here, we're going to build our downward facing dog one more time. So we're going to tuck the toes against the mat, press into the palms. You can come through tabletop or lift straight up to your downward facing dog. This will be the last down dog of practice, so let that mean whatever it means for you. Maybe you love down dog, maybe you're like ready to go to the next thing. The next thing is mountain pose. So we're going to meet at the top of the mat, however you want to get there. You might come through tabletop and step forward. You might walk your feet towards your hands into a forward fold and roll the spine up slowly. It's the last thing to raise. And then we'll come to mountain, to the top or the middle of the mat. And our mountain pose, we're going to think about rooting down through the feet, finding a really strong foundation. Maybe your heels, your sides of your feet energetically draw away from each other like they're going to rip the mat in half. Feeling really strong legs, maybe the kneecaps lift. You might draw your navel into your spine and think about reaching through the crown of the head. Your hands can be reaching down for the mat, or they can be reaching high. You want to draw your shoulders away from your ears, wherever your hands are, and think about drawing your fingers away from your shoulders. Really strong. From here, we're going to find palm tree pose. So we're going to bring the hands together. They might stay here if this is where you want them to be. If you can, you might flip your hands to face out. If you want to keep your hands low, that's totally fine. You still get the same benefits of palm tree. You might press your hands away, like they're pressing away from your chest. And if this level is good for you, great. You might bring that pressing away all the way up to the top overhead. Palm tree pose. From here, wherever your hands landed, this could be your palm tree, or you might draw your navel into spine and look down for your toes. Think about lifting your heels. Now let's look up. If we're lifting through our heels, we want to think about keeping all of the balls of our feet grounded on the mat. So we're not lifting our heels and they're going to spread out to the sides like that. We're going to think about pressing our weight forward towards all of our toes and then lifting the heels and letting the balls of the feet and all of the toes support our weight. So maybe there's lift, maybe not. So this is your palm tree. Feeling like we're drawing our shoulders away from our ears, really strong in the front body and finding our balance here. So to help you find your balance, you might come in and out of this pose as you need, and you might find a single unmoving spot in the wall or the room in front of you. And keep your gaze on that spot as you balance. From here, you can close your eyes for an added challenge. You can sway side to side for swaying palm tree. As you move or don't move, notice the strength of your body. Notice the strength of your side body, yeah, as you press your hands away. And if you swayed from side to side, we'll even out on the opposite side, and then rest the heels down if they were lifted, and then we'll let the fingertips rain down. Let that go. From here, we'll bring our awareness back to the feet now, and we're going to think about rooting down just like we did in mountain. We might even think about drawing our thighs towards one another, drawing our knees towards one another. You might bring your feet closer, you might not. Totally up to you. From here, we're going to think about finding that mountain shape, but we're going to make a different shape called volcano. So we're going to actually lift our hands. They don't have to be super high, so they can be this high, however high you'd like. They can be touching up overhead. What we're going to do from here, drawing our shoulders away from our ears, down the spine, we're going to look up for the sky. Changing our balance, changing our awareness, and then from here, we will think about tucking the tailbone for the mat, and then finding a bend in the knees, sinking down, weight is in our heels for chair pose. You might bring your hands to heart center. You might hinge from your hips. You want to be able to see your toes and or feel them wiggle. So your weight is in your heels. Nice. On an inhale, we'll lift up volcano pose, look for the sky, press the mat away with your feet. On your exhale, chair pose, sink as deep as feels good for you. You decide. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, come down. Really finding the foundation of rooting here as we inhale to rise up, and then exhale to find a bend. One more. Inhale, reaching high. And exhale, finding a bend. Breathing here in our chair pose. Really nice. And now you're working. You can always change the depth of your chair. I'm going to draw the navel into spine. We'll be here for 3 breaths. Maybe coming back to your intention, what you want to get out of this practice, your time here that you set aside for yourself. Fantastic. When you're ready, we will lift up through the legs, find that rooting through the feet, and then we're going to heel toe our feet out wide. So we'll move our toes and then our heels, or just step your feet out wide. Our heels are facing in, our toes are facing out. We can have a little bend in the knees, that feels good. And then we're going to reach the hands, fingertips draw far away from one another as possible. Shoulders draw towards one another, opening the chest. This really proud, open chest, feeling the ribs expand as we breathe in and contract as we breathe out. Thinking about getting as big as we possibly can, taking up as much space as we can, coming back to our intention, and now reaching through the crown of the head. Now, our biggest possible self. Breathing here for 3 breaths. Fantastic. And then we'll find horse pose. Horse pose, we're going to bend our knees to sink the hips down. You decide how deep you bend. You might wrap your hands around your torso. You might keep them extended. So we'll exhale into horse pose. And we'll inhale, straighten the legs, reach the fingertips wide if they're not already. Exhale. You decide how deep. And inhale, reach wide. Nice. 5 more, just like that. Exhale, you decide how deep. Inhale, reach wide. Exhale, pointing the tailbone for the mat, keeping the chest lifted as much as possible. Inhale, reach wide. Nice. 2 more. Hopefully, I'm keeping count. Everything's optional, so you decide. Fantastic. Inhaling, getting big, and then exhaling. We'll come back to center, and then we'll meet up in a seat on our mat. From here, we'll find butterfly pose. I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together, knees are wide. It's okay if your knees are not close to the mat. By your definition of close, it doesn't matter. We want to think about our knees being heavy and really finding a stretch in the hip flexors. So if your hips are feeling the stretch, you're doing the thing. If you're not sure, be gentle with yourself. If you think you can find a deeper stretch, you want to reach through the tailbone and the crown of the head. So find that long spine before we fold forward, just hinging from the hips, drawing the chest towards the feet. Breathing here. And as we breathe, wherever we are, perhaps sending the knees a little closer to the mat as we exhale. Inhaling, taking stock of our muscles, what's engaged, what's activated. Exhaling, consciously letting that engagement go, settling in. And then noticing how the shape evolves as we breathe. Fantastic. From here, bring your shoulders up over your hips if they weren't already. And then we'll press the feet further away from our chest. And then we're going to round the spine and draw the forehead towards our feet. It's okay if they don't touch. They have a really long torso if they touch, that's fine. But just thinking about allowing the chest to be heavy, allowing the head to be a bit of a counterbalance. The weight of the head is going to open up the lumbar spine. If you need some support for the upper body here, you can always bring your hands to the space in between your calves and thighs to support you. And just notice how the stretch changes as you press your legs out further. Breathing here for 3 breaths. Fantastic. Then we'll bring our heart and our head over our hips. And if you have a block, you might bring it behind your spine here, about 6 inches away from your spine. Or if you don't have a block, it's totally fine. I'll show it with and without. So we'll extend our legs long, and then we'll find our fingers underneath our glutes or right by our sit bones. And we can press through the heels of the palms so that our spine is going to straighten, and you might reach back or hinge back from the hips so that your shoulders come over the palms now, and you're resting in like a little bit of a back bend. This might be your fish pose for today. Or you might come down to rest on your elbows, thinking about keeping strength and integrity in your neck. So you might keep your gaze towards your feet or the ceiling. And this might be your fish pose. If you have a block, you might come all the way down, allowing your spine to rest on the block, and the block is going to finish right around your shoulders so that you can rest the crown of your head towards the mat. So your head you shouldn't be supporting your head with your neck. You should be resting on the mat or resting on the balance of your elbows, the support of your elbows here. If you don't have a block, you can do the same thing with fish, still resting on your elbows, and then finding the mat with your head. So up to you. Could be at a bunch of different points here in fish pose. You just want to be sure to support your upper body and have a safe neck. Okay, wherever you landed, think about consciously relaxing the muscles of your abdomen. So letting go of your core, maybe finding a stretch in the front body. And then from here, we will lift up out of fish the same way we got there, or you can slide to one side like this and pull the block out away from you, or you can just lift up. Nice. And then we will recline back and bring our right knee in towards the chest. So left leg's extended long, all of our toes are pointing towards the ceiling, and you might hug your right shin up towards your chest. You might even direct your leg kind of up and then out towards the right side. And as you think about lifting your right leg up and out, you might think about grounding your left leg down towards the mat. So pressing the thighs, the calves, the left calf, left heel into the mat. Thinking about finding the mat with both shoulder blades. So the upper body is resting as much as possible on the mat, and the stretch is really in the lower body. Maybe feeling your breath against your right thigh as your ribs expand and contract. And when you're ready, we'll cross the right leg over towards the left side of the mat. So our right hip is going to stack over our left. Maybe your right leg finds the floor. Maybe you rest your right toe on the extended left leg. You can find a block or just let it float. Find the mat with both shoulder blades. You might tee out or goalpost your arms. You might look over to the right side to deepen this supine twist. wherever you are, now that you've arrived in this shape, noticing the muscles that tapped in to get you here. Do they still need to be engaged? Or can you release those muscles and settle deeper into the shape? Trusting your frame to support you, using your breath. Foundation for the shape, or even sending your breath to a space that feels tense. Being curious about if that opens up or changes the shape in any way. Fantastic. From here, we're going to draw the navel into spine to check in with the core. Let it support us as we bring the right hip down, right leg extends, left knee now comes in towards center. Maybe it even extends out towards the left side a little bit. All of our toes are pointing towards the sky, thinking about rooting through the right leg that's extended, the right thigh, the right calf, maybe reaching with the right heel as we draw the left leg up and out. It's kind of push and pull of this pose. I always like. Noticing that your body can do more than one thing. And hopefully feeling a nice stretch in the hips, in the back of the legs. Maybe releasing tension in the abdomen, the lower abdominals. Releasing the shoulders for the mat. Once you feel even on this side, we'll bring our left leg over to the right side of the mat, stacking the left hip over the right, finding the mat with both shoulder blades. For our supine twist, you might tee out, goal post your arms, and you might look over to the left side just to deepen the stretch a little bit. Maybe you notice an alignment in your spine when you do these spinal twists. Maybe you do not. And either way is great. What we don't want to do is jerk our spine or think about forcing a twist. And I really support our spine, especially in these cooling down shapes. So if you notice an adjustment, notice that. And if you don't, notice that. Notice the stretch. Listening to our body. Noticing how the shape changes as we breathe. And then when you're ready, when you feel even on this side, draw the navel into spine, allowing the left hip to come back to the mat. Unwinding the legs here, and we'll find our last shape. Today's last shape, I am going to keep my knees bent. I'm going to bring the soles of my feet wider than the mat, and then knock my knees together. Hello. So this is a bit of a hip inflection, bringing our hips inward. This might feel kind of homey if your hips are naturally inverted. I have externally rotated hips, so it feels like a bit of a stretch. Hopefully you feel supported in this pose. If not, find a pose that feels good for you. You might, in whatever pose you're in, think about wrapping your hands, your arms around your torso, or finding your shoulder blades with both hands, opposite hands. Thinking about wrapping the hands, the arms around your trunk, your center, maybe bringing some warmth into the center line. And you might close your eyes or soften your gaze, coming back to your intention if you set one final time. Bringing your awareness to the spaces where you're grounded, allowing those spaces to be heavy, to release for the mat. Noticing your body at rest. Noticing any thoughts that come. As you keep your awareness on your body, allowing those thoughts to be like chess pieces moving on a board overhead, back and forth, one direction and then the other. As you are fully yourself, breathing in your body at rest. Maybe you bring your awareness back to your breath. Maybe you allow the spaces that are grounded to be heavy, to find rest, rededicating those spaces to a sensation of letting go. For a few moments, for ease. Evening out the muscles of the face, releasing the tongue from the roof of the mouth, releasing any tension from the jaw. Taking 10 deep breaths here. Continuing to be consciously aware of your breath. Perhaps seeing your breath as a symbol of your resiliency. And as you breathe, noticing your body at rest during this time you've made for yourself. Once you've reached your 10th breath, or you're ready to move on, you might bring your hands together and rub them back and forth, palm facing palm, to create a little bit of warmth, a little bit of heat. You might bring that heat, that energy down to your heart space. You might stack your hands over your heart. If it feels good for you, you might bring those warm hands to your face or your eyes. Either is fine. Neither is also fine. noticing your energy, even at rest. And when you're ready, we will find a comfortable seat if you'd like to close out your practice that way. If you'd like to stay where you are, feel welcome to do that. And we'll close out our practice, remembering that you are important already. You always were. It means so much to me that you allow me to guide you in this practice. It means so much to me that you create the space for yourself. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Thank you for allowing me to guide you. I hope you have a great rest of your day.